president of the General Council. We traveled together on staff back when we had leadership chapter consultants. A dear friend and someone I know. We can all feel very, very good about continuing to steer the good ship Phi. Welcome your president, J. David Almacy.
Thank you very much. So as we're sitting here listening to all these amazing stories and speeches, my daughter texted me and said, "Can I introduce you?" 2 minutes. Should we let her do it?
Yes. Yeah.
Come on up, Grace.
Hi, everybody. I really wanted to talk into the microphone earlier, so this is my excuse. I just want to say that I knew the Greek alphabet before I knew the English one. There's a video of me at, it's literally like a little bitty thing going alpha, beta, gamma, and it's been my life. My dad is by far my biggest inspiration. It's so commendable how he is able to fully commit himself to everything that he believes in. And this whole weekend, people have been coming up to my sister and I and telling us how proud he is of us and how much he talks about us, but the reality is that we're proud of him. And I think I speak for myself and my sister when I say that I would not be half as funny or half the woman I have become today. And I always knew that he was doing good work, but being in college has really given me a new perspective as to how important it is to have people like my father in the world who are working to make a better experience and a safer experience for students all across America and Canada. And I would just like to thank you all for giving him this opportunity, and I don't know a better person for the job, and I assure you that he will give his all to make this fraternity even better than it already is. Thank you.
Just like I wrote it. Notice she didn't say good looking, she clearly gets that from her mother. So, as you may note, I'm struggling a little bit with my throat. First night here, I woke up at 3 a.m. with a little bit of a tickle. Thought it was a desert cold, I thought it would be gone in a couple hours, next morning it'll be fine, take a hot shower, good to go. It's progressively gotten worse as the night has gone through, and actually at 3 o'clock in the morning last night, I got up to gargle salt water and I tried to speak and nothing came out. I was like, and I've been stressing all day about how I'm going to get through this speech without being able to speak. Brian Smith, whose son was initiated earlier today, texted me and said, "We're praying for you in your voice." So the Lord has been listening because we got a little sound coming out. So bear with me as we get through the speech. I was also reminded that someone asked me earlier, and people would ask me all the time, "How's your throat?" And I said, I gotta tell you, this moment for me, this culmination of my love for the fraternity, as you've seen on display, all of us who love this fraternity while we're here, is culminated in this speech, and I'm not at my best, and I'm super frustrated. And I remember actually at Leadership College when I went in 1991 as an undergraduate, we learned that sometimes your hardest times in life will come when you're not at your best. And so we're just gonna struggle through together, okay? Here we go. I'm humbled and honored to be here. I'm a bit of a sensitive guy, and I have a line here saying that there haven't been any tears yet from the podium, so thankfully that bubble has been broken. But listen, wow, what a moment. Life's full of moments that impact us, challenge us, inspire us, define us, help shape our future, both individually and collectively. As we gather here in Arizona, we celebrate a moment that occurred 175 years ago, come this December, when our founders, I've got visuals too, I'm in PR, I know what I'm doing here. So they gathered at Old North on the campus of Miami University to write the bond and form the Phi Delta Theta Fraternity. And the concept is actually quite simple. They sought to create and recruit a group of like-minded men who believed in friendship, sound learning, and rectitude. They challenged us to live a life guided by these principles, to hold each other accountable, and to strive to make a positive impact in the world around us. You know, I often wonder if the Immortal Six would be surprised to see the amazing growth and success of their esteemed fraternity. As Brother Fabricius mentioned, it's 4 chapters, 7 members. But we certainly didn't arrive here by accident, but rather as a result of years of hard work and dedication by scores of loyal Phis, including current undergraduates, alumni volunteers, and GHU staff, many of which are here with us tonight. It's page 1. Voices not hanging in. So in that spirit, I'm deeply honored and I'm grateful to stand before you tonight as Phi Delta Theta's next General Council President. Thank you to all who voted for me and supported me through the years. Your confidence in me and your belief in my abilities are truly humbling. I am eager to embrace the responsibilities and privileges that come with this new role, and I promise to uphold the values and principles of Phi Delta Theta to the best of my ability. That paragraph was written by ChatGPT. For real, it's pretty good, right? As I reflected upon what I wanted to share with you tonight, I decided to segment my remarks into 3 basic parts. First, if you'll indulge me, I wanted to tell you a little bit about my Phi Delta story. Then I'm going to briefly touch on some of the fraternity's accomplishments, which have already been done tonight, so I might skip over some of that. Thankfully, we'll cut this a little shorter. And how we addressed a few of the challenges we faced during my time on the General Council thus far. And lastly, I'd like to share some thoughts about the vision we have for the next 2 years as we all continue to move our fraternity forward together. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but I can guarantee you that the next 6 hours will be the best of your life. I don't know why that's funny. 1 hour in honor of each founder, of course. Seems only fitting. But of course, I certainly didn't arrive at this moment alone, so I'm also going to be weaving in some thank yous to some very special people who've helped me along the way. And due to time constraints, even given the generous 6 hours you've allotted me, I can't possibly mention everyone, but I'm confident that those special to me that I've not named know who you are. So my story. When people outside of the fraternity ask me and learn about my fraternity involvement and ask me why I do it, the answer is quite simple. Phi Delta Theta has played an important role in my life, and I wanted to give back to it to ensure that future generations of Phis could also benefit in the very same way that I did. It's rewarding to make an impact in others' lives, and I want to be thoughtful and I want to be purposeful about it. You see, I found that most people can be placed into 3 general categories. There are those who react to things, there are those who do nothing, and there are those who courageously, proactively step up to make a positive impact in the world around them. And in my experience, the latter is what it means to be a Phi Delta. The Immortal Six challenge us to be better men, guided by principles as outlined in the bond. Their vision for our association is an incredible gift, one that helped shape me as a young man and continues to influence my life as an alumnus. And if followed, I believe that all of us can achieve limitless success to whatever we focus on, both individually and collectively, in our campuses and in our communities. So how did all this begin for me? Well, everyone's story is unique. but I think many of you may find some similarities from my story to your own. I think it's only fitting that I start from the beginning, and I want to acknowledge someone very special in the audience tonight, and that's my mom, Nancy Almacy. This is her first official fraternity event that she's ever attended. I gave her a badge years ago because someone in our family got married to a Phi Delta from NC Beta. Where are you NC guys? Absent. See, that's why you don't call out people and stuff like this. You gotta make sure they're in the room. And Mom showed up tonight wearing the badge, as is permitted in the code. Check it out. I owe everything that I am and all that I've accomplished to my mom. She's been the one constant force my entire life, here come the tears, who has always been there to provide unconditional love, support, advice, encouragement, and guidance. Even when I got in trouble, she was angry, but she said, "You know, I'll always love you, and always come and talk to me." See, my parents divorced when I was very young, and she found herself alone as a single mom, raising an only child. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I now fully recognize the challenges, sacrifices, dedication, and great responsibility of parenthood. And although I was a completely perfect child, I want to take this opportunity to say, Mom, thank you. I love you. I'm so proud to be your son. I'm absolutely thrilled that you're here with us, because honestly, without you, I wouldn't be here. I mean, literally as a human, but I mean as a Phi Delta or even a college graduate. You see, okay, maybe I wasn't so perfect, but I think I was an overall pretty good kid growing up. And I worked hard when I wanted to, was an average student in the classroom, was an okay athlete, but as high school graduation approached, I was kind of terrified. In fact, at one point, I remember a conversation where I told her I didn't want to go to college. Of course, I was afraid of failing. However, she remained steadfast, and we went to a couple college visits before I eventually settled on attending Widener University in Chester, Pennsylvania, after an impromptu visit with my dad. I first heard about Widener from my guidance counselor, who suggested that given my anxiety about getting lost at a large college, I should consider a small to mid-sized school. I also didn't want to go too far from home. So, having grown up in the Washington, D.C. area, Philadelphia was just a couple hours away. And on the tour, it was a bright, sunny day, and our tour guide seemed to know just about everyone on campus. As people passed by, people said hello, and I was very impressed by how friendly and engaging they were, despite the New Jersey accent. Sorry, Scar. Toward the end of the tour, he insisted on showing us the engineering school, which of course I had zero interest in. But the campus isn't that big, and I honestly think he was running out of things to show us. In the hallway, we passed a female student who just nodded and smiled as she walked by, but unlike the others, she didn't say a word. So I joked with him that perhaps she was the one person on campus that he did not know. He responded, "Oh, I know her. She's deaf." On a campus of 1,200 students, everyone does pretty much know everyone. And I kind of like the idea of that. I didn't know anything about fraternities, but I had a couple of good friends who were older with the University of Maryland. Where's Maryland Alpha? There he is. Very good stuff. The Phi Delta of Maryland Alpha were known as the Gentlemen's Fraternity. And I had a couple of friends who joined Phi Delta from my high school. So I thought, well, if I go to campus and there's a chapter, maybe I'll look into it. As I mentioned, Widener was pretty small. We have Division III sports. We often joke we're a D3 football powerhouse. We don't have a fight song. I'm very jealous when I hear these awards of fight songs. And besides football, you know, no one really cared about the other sports. In fact, the title of our fight song was called "Who Cares? Let's Get a Hoagie at Wawa." There you go, Sean. I had to work at Wawa somewhere. I didn't think much more about it until I got to campus, and although accepted initially, they did not have housing for me, which was a bit of a problem when you live over 2 hours away. I found out at the last minute they were able to place me on the sophomore floor, Thayer room 301. It was a little intimidating for a freshman, but you see, we moved in a week before everybody else. So there I was, sitting alone in my room by myself in an empty hallway. My RA asked if I wanted to go up to Greek Row and check out some of the fraternities who were hosting some welcome events that evening. So we walked a couple blocks over to the row, and guess which house was first on the row? Phi Delta Theta. I remember the letters from the University of Maryland, but I didn't really meet anyone that night. And we went to 4 or 5 other houses in total. And at Wider, we have deferred recruitment, and typically we'd be against that sort of thing for freedom of association and such. So I didn't pledge the first semester, but I met some amazing Phi Delts throughout that time. Bill McCoolist, John Vestano, Eric Versland, and others. And I knew that Phi Delt was going to be the home for me. Now, as mentioned, my roommate was a sophomore. He played football his freshman year and unfortunately suffered an eye injury and was really focused on improving his grades that second year at school. And we didn't get along at all. I don't think he liked the idea of rooming with a freshman. His initial roommate, Pat O'Connell, had been given an RA slot, which opened up a slot for this guy. So that first semester, we bickered about little things and generally just annoyed each other. He had a bit of a temper and I was stubborn, and we both were pretty passive-aggressive and finding really creative ways to be unfriendly to each other. Fortunately for the other guys in the hall, they were pretty fun. We hung out at night, goofing around, having a great conversation, and generally enjoying college together. And one of those guys lived next door. His name is Rob Klaus. Now, Rob, are you still here? He had to catch a red eye. Is he here? All right, you get to hear your part. I was going to make a joke about you leaving, and I did put you earlier in the speech. All right, so Rob and I immediately hit it off, and we became fast friends. We did just about everything together, but our friendship suffered a little bit when I joined Phi Delta in the spring semester. And the bottom line is, after meeting more Phis, I found a home, and I was thrilled to receive a bid with Phi Delta. And although the old chapter house structure is gone now, replaced a few years after I graduated, the foundation and tradition of excellence that Nick Schaefer, Bond Number 1, and others at Penn U built still remains today, over 35 years later. I had a great undergraduate experience. I went on to serve as chapter secretary, president. During that time, I learned a lot, and I'm proud of what we accomplished together. We took the chapter to new heights. We grew the membership, top in grades, respected fraternity with Phis in leadership positions all over campus, fun social calendar, competitive in sports, won Greek Week for the first time ever, and the Salucci Cup for best chapter on campus for the first time since our founding in '85. We also won several GHQ awards, including runner-up for Kansas City. I really credit attending Leadership College in 1991, now Clayburgh, with John Serrano and Tyler Wilson for motivating us and giving us the tools to succeed. And when I came home, I sat on the steps of all the notes I took, and I read every single word of every session I sat in to my mom. And I said, this fraternity is amazing. Oh, and by the way, that jerky roommate, his name is David Green. We ended up pledging together. There were 9 in our Phi Chi class that we were initiated in spring of '89, and we began to really get to know each other. We put aside our petty differences, we developed a true friendship, and it was so special to have him nominate me for re-election to the General Council earlier today. My best friend Rob pledged the year after, and these two guys have been lifelong, dear, and loyal friends over the years. Dave went on to serve as province president in Indiana and sits on the fraternity's investment committee. We both attended our first fraternity convention in Kansas City in 1990 as alternate undergraduate delegates, and I haven't missed one since. Rob and his family live nearby in the DC area, and we see each other all the time, although he might not like that. Though I will miss seeing him at random area soccer fields now that our soccer playing kids have graduated. We even had the amazing opportunity to work in the White House together for President Bush. Thanks to both of you, Dave and Rob. I'm so grateful that you're here tonight and this weekend. It means more than you know. I graduated from Wider in 1992, and yes, 1992, I know what you're thinking. Dave, you look amazing. Thank you. See, look at that, I haven't aged a bit, right? It's like looking in the mirror, senior year. What's even scarier is wait till you see the picture of my dad and what I look like now. It's insane. It's the good genes, though, that Mom gave me, I credit. So after some encouraging guidance from chapter consultant Kevin Dreiling and my leadership faculty advisor, Scott Meachin, I applied to work for GHQ, and I will always be thankful to them and for Abe Cross, who hired me. And I moved to Oxford, Ohio to work for General Headquarters as a chapter consultant. There we are. Billy, you see yourself in there? Look at all that hair, man. It's good stuff. Traveling the US and Canada, visiting chapters, which is probably the best job I ever had. And notice, by the way, Grace added US and Canada. That's the Canadian liaison, Rob. I don't know where you are in Canadian Brothers. There we go. Great White North. While on staff, my dad, John M. Almacy, saw how much the fraternity meant to me and wanted to learn more. He graduated from the University of Maryland, but he didn't join a fraternity while in school. I sent him a Phi manual, and he expressed interest in joining. And Dad was initiated as bond number 40 when we installed the Delaware Alpha chapter at the University of Delaware in April of 1994. So look at that. It's Dad. Dr. Whipple officiated that ceremony, which is why it was especially meaningful to have Ed join David Green in nominating me this morning. And thank you so much, Ed, wherever you are. That badge that's on Dad's chest now sits on the chest of Brian Smith Jr. I gave it to the Smith family because I wanted a father-son combo to wear the badge and continue the tradition. It didn't seem to me to be fitting to have Dad's badge sitting in the box in my closet. Sadly, Dad entered the chapter grant in 2016, and after a long and difficult battle with lung cancer, toward the end, he had some difficulty speaking and was mostly unresponsive during my visits. And on one visit, he slowly opened his eyes when he saw me, and he pulled at his collar of his t-shirt, and I didn't understand what he was doing. I didn't know what that meant. And then I realized that someone helped him up to take some medications and noticed that he was wearing a Phi Delta t-shirt that I had given him. And he wanted me to take a photo. I was later told by the nurses that he was so excited to wear it because he knew I was coming to see him. And he died 2 weeks later. And although my relationship with my dad was complicated over the years, I'm so thankful that we were able to share the fraternity, which brought us closer together towards the end of his life. And I learned a lot of my time on staff and on the road and in the office, and Bob Biggs was EVP at the time. There we are in Leadership College, the first time I met Bob Biggs. Bob, where are you? Hey. Absent. I love you, Bob, I'm just kidding. Bob, I want to thank you for your personal support and guidance over the years, and for your lifelong example of service to the fraternity and advocacy for the Greek movement. This photo is for the first time I met you in Miami of 1991, and in all seriousness, you actually do look exactly the same. It's not fair. It's just not fair. After I moved home and got involved in the DC Alumni Club in '95, I was appointed Gamma South Province President the following year for a few chapters in Maryland, Virginia, and Pennsylvania, and I was later asked to serve on the Survey Commission, a position that I held for 18 years before being elected to the General Council in San Antonio in 2018. I've been very fortunate over the years to continue to serve the fraternity that I love so much, and each experience, every step along the way, has been more rewarding than the last. I'd like to take a moment to recognize and thank my family. My wife, Julie, and our two beautiful and incredible daughters, Grace and Caroline. Julie and I actually met initially at Miami University, where she was attending school as a senior when I was on staff. And although she doesn't have much recollection of it, none at all. We later connected in Washington, D.C. during a chance meeting at a Miami Alumni Club event at the U.S. Capitol. And later this month, we will celebrate our 25th anniversary. I think she's getting a little... I think she's getting a little excited about the next 2 years as well, when she has begun to affectionately refer to herself as flopped First Lady of Phi Delta Theta. Now, as a PR guy, I'm not sure I love that acronym. It doesn't work as well as FLOTUS, but I do appreciate the enthusiasm. I love you and I thank you for your support and for your patience over the years during my time away from home while volunteering for the fraternity. Our oldest daughter, Grace, is currently a rising junior at Elon University in North Carolina, where she is studying communications design, and in fact, she turned 20 yesterday. Happy birthday, sweetie.
Thank you.
Our other daughter, Caroline, is a rising high school junior, and the college search is on. So the Almacy College Tour Caravan might be coming to one of your campuses very soon. You see, you're both very smart, kind, funny, thoughtful, and caring, and it's been my honor to be your dad. I love you both very much, and I'm incredibly proud of the amazing women that you are becoming, both on and off the field. Inside joke there. And since I'm a girl dad, I only ask for one thing in return from you: Phi Delta grandsons. But not anytime soon. To all my fellow volunteers in the US and Canada, General Council members, province presidents, chapter advisors, housing corps, boards and commissions, and to the GHQ Foundation and staff, past and present, thank you for all that you've done and continue to do for Phi Delta Theta. We simply would not be able to function without all of your invaluable contributions and support. And thank you to all the Phi Delta Theta spouses, significant others, and families as well for sharing your loved ones with us and allowing them to positively impact so many young lives and contribute to the future of our great fraternity and our world. Although personally I believe that we have the best GHQ staff in the business, including senior executives Jesse, Steve, Dylan, Jim, Tom, Andrew, Cassie, and all the incredible support staff, I want to especially recognize our EVP and CEO, Sean Wagner. I've known Sean a long time. Actually, we come from the same chapter, Pennsylvania Mu, Widener University, just like our Mortal of Six intended. We're exactly 10 years apart. I graduated in 1992, Sean 2002. And fun fact, this is only the second time in fraternity history that both the fraternity EVP and the current General Council President have been initiated at the same chapter. The last and only other time it happened was over 45 years ago in 1976 with then EVP Robert J. Miller and General Council President Doug Phillips, both from the University of New Mexico Alpha. I remember meeting Sean when he was an undergraduate and being immediately impressed. He was intelligent, driven, detail-oriented, committed to excellence, and a great leader as chapter president. Sean, I was very pleased when you first joined the GHQ staff, and as a mentor, I've thoroughly enjoyed watching firsthand as you've advanced through the ranks over the years. I know that fraternity is in excellent hands with you at the helm in your current role as EVP. I'm so grateful for your friendship, and I look forward to working with you and the new General Council over the next 2 years. And I promise, never to check a bag when flying through Fort Lauderdale again. We got trapped in 8 hours in a car with Jesse and Steve Good because of storm, and because I checked the bag, we just never got out of there. So, on the way to Marathon to Finbo's house. To the undergraduates in the room, please consider remaining involved at some level once you graduate. As expressed in our Silver and Golden Legion ceremonies, Phi Delta Theta is not a mere campus interlude, but a fraternity for life. And as you've seen tonight through the awards of the alumni that were given, you will spend many more years as an alumnus in Phi Delta Theta than you will as an undergraduate member. At least I hope so. I promise you it will be worthwhile and your contributions will be invaluable for generations of Phis to come. General Council. I remember as a Phi Chi reading the manual and taking note of who comprised the General Council, and I didn't fully understand at the time the role they played. But I'm so pleased that as I got further involved in the organization, I was able to not only meet them, but count many of them among my friends and mentors. Lothar Vaschholz, T. Glenn Carey, Billy Stitt, Ed Whipple, Tony Ambrose, Bob DeLoyan, Scott Meacham, Chris Lappel, Mike Scarlatelli, just to name a few. You were all giants to me, and I marveled at the example that you set. Then I saw some of my contemporaries join the council, dear friends like Charlie Pride, tonight's MC Rich Fabricius, who is hired for Atlanta 2 years from now, because he's local, we're saving the fraternity money. And you're doing a great job. And of course, Rudy Borchovino. You've all been so kind to me over the years and encouraging and supportive when I decided that the timing was right to throw my hat in the ring in San Antonio. And I distinctly remember right after the election, heading to lunch, Rudy putting his hand on my shoulder and saying, "We finally got Almacy on the board." I can't tell you how much you mean to me, and I thank you for your continued advice, your friendship, incredibly offensive yet hilarious sense of humor, and seriously, your impact on the fraternity and me is widely regarded, and the honor of Legion of Merit that you received tonight is well deserved, regardless of what you say. I'm so glad your family, Deb, wife Deb, daughter Grace, and 5 sons, Matthew and John Ryan, could be with you tonight to help you celebrate this incredible honor. Congratulations. In the first biennium, which turned into a triennium because of COVID, I was honored to serve on the General Council with Chris Brusalis, king of the strategic plan, who helped the fraternity map out Phi Delta 2020, which later became 2030. And Jesse Moyer, Jesse, where are you? There you are, brother. Jesse left the board. This should be his convention. This should be him right here, standing up as General Council President. But he left the board because he saw a need, and he joined Sean to join the headquarters staff, and we're better off for it. And although we lost a board member, we gained an invaluable asset in Oxford. Jesse, you've done an incredible job, and we look forward to continuing to work with you over the next 2 years. Of course, with that vacancy, we needed to fill a 5th board seat. We decided to look among the PPGC ranks, and Mike Scarlatelli stepped up to answer the call. Of course, it was only supposed to be a few months. 3 months, right? That's what we told you in Cooperstown. And then COVID hit, and we tacked on a whole other year. However, in my view, that was a blessing. I learned so much from your wisdom and experience and appreciated how you led with kindness, strength, dedication, and good humor. Thanks, Scar. Nat Love and I, where you are, Nat? There you go. Nat Love and I were elected to the General Council at the same time in San Antonio. And we joke that we were Phi Chi General Council brothers. But there's honestly some truth to that. We didn't know each other very well before running, but ever since our first phone call, we immediately hit it off. Probably helps that we're both talkers, share a love for soccer, and both sound sleepers during our snore wars when rimming together at fraternity events. Seriously, Nat, I greatly value your friendship. I can't imagine having as much fun on this journey without you. To our most recent PPGC, Mo Stevens. Mo, thank you for not only being a great president, but a great friend. That's Indianapolis. I thought I should do something with you in Indiana. That's the shout out, brother. Your service and dedication to Phi Delta Theta over the years has been unwavering. From your days on the General Headquarters staff to your election to the General Council, you've led with strength, integrity, grace, and conviction. You worked collaboratively, you challenged us to think differently, treated everyone with respect, and when opinions did not align, you pushed us to contemplate different experiences and envision a better, more understanding, and more inclusive Phi Delta Theta. Your incredible legacy is well cemented in our history, and as we celebrate our 175th year, and despite your airport navigation skills, I say thank you and job well done. And Allison, amazing speech tonight. I obviously didn't know you were going to say that, so that was incredible. And Maya, I'll be tracking your soccer and wrestling endeavors for the next couple of years. To Tom Balzer and Todd Nisbet, you joined us for the last biennium after being elected in Pittsburgh, and I can honestly say it's been an absolute pleasure. You both seamlessly transitioned to the board and made an immediate impact, and you brought a different perspective and unique sets of skills that have helped us navigate some challenging decisions in a thoughtful and expedient manner. I couldn't be more pleased to continue to serve by your side during the next biennium. Congratulations to Mike Ogg. Where are you, Mike? Over here. Mike, we welcome you, your ideas, energy, and enthusiasm as we look forward to your contributions as the newest member of the General Council. And to Mark Pleiss, thank you for your candidacy. Although I know this is not the result that you had hoped for, please do not be discouraged. Keep your chin up, your contributions are valued, and there's always a place for good volunteers in Phi Delta Theta. So as I look back on what we've accomplished as a council for the past few years, I'm proud of what we've done. We've successfully navigated and emerged from an unprecedented and unexpected pandemic with resilience and strength. And while many Greek organizations faltered, paused operations, lost members, Phi Delta Theta made great strides across the board. In fact, this past year, the launch of the chapter accreditation program, as previously mentioned, 68% increase in awards, gold, silver, and bronze. Congratulations to the undergraduates for your work in that area. That's incredible. The Dyad study, which we use to measure our success among our peers, Phi Delta Theta scored for the 4th year in a row with the top net promoter score amongst undergraduates. Membership continues to grow in the US and Canada, 4,700 Phi-Chias last year, numbers that have not been seen since pre-COVID. We're currently sitting at 177 active chapters, 10 emerging chapters soon to join our ranks. 287,500 Phis have been initiated since our founding, and all these stats, by the way, place us in the top 10 of all fraternities when compared to our peers. We continue to address issues and behaviors on campuses that are antithetical to our principles and values. Last year, Phi Delta Theta was asked and accepted a formal invitation to join the Anti-Hazing Coalition, an organization committed to preventing hazing on college campuses. Comprised mostly of parents who lost children to hazing death, we are the first and only fraternity or sorority to join this partnership. We also continue to work with the Groover family and the Max Groover Foundation to strengthen educational efforts to prevent future tragedies and eradicate hazing. In the wake of the death of George Floyd, while in police custody in 2020, Americans were once again forced to confront some difficult issues surrounding race, our history, culture, and society. And we heard from members of color in Phi Delta Theta and allies alike who felt that the fraternity had fallen short in this area and that we needed to do more. We formed 2 diversity inclusion working groups, one chaired by Mo to evaluate policies and one by me for communications to explore further and compile recommendations for future changes. Shamefully, I have to admit that prior to this, I didn't think too often about issues like this. It wasn't that I didn't care about them, it just was not my experience. Wider's chapter, nestled just outside of Philly, had always had a pretty diverse group, which is something that we take pride in. I didn't quite understand the complexity of the problem or how the fraternity could best address them, but I was eager to learn and I wanted to effect change. During the course of our discussions, we heard firsthand accounts from members who candidly and openly shared their stories. One young Black Phi told us that in the wake of some fairly public racist behavior in the media from another fraternity in Oklahoma, his mother decided to drive him personally to Oxford, Ohio, to attend the Clayburgh Emerging Leaders Institute. And she was reluctant to let him get out of the car because she saw mostly white delegates on campus and feared for his safety. Being safe at a fraternity event, or even looking around the room and not seeing anyone that looked like me, is something that I've never experienced in my life. So to better understand this, I reached out to one of my chapter brothers, Michael Hubbard, to get his experience, to get his perspective. Hub, as he was known, was a senior when I pledged. He lived in the house and was one of the most respected members of the chapter. He was smart, creative, athletic, witty, but yet a man of few words, which was a little intimidating because you never quite knew what he was thinking. He told me during our conversation that he knew that Phi Delta Theta was the right one for him when he saw Ivan Vassell, bond number 9, one of our founders, another Black Phi, at the first recruitment event that he went to. Then he shared some of his experiences growing up and the challenges he faced as a young Black man in America. I listened intently and I admitted that I had no idea what he was talking about. And awkwardly, somehow, I apologized to him. And he laughed and he said something that I'll never forget. He said, "Dave, you don't need to apologize. You've done nothing wrong. I don't fault you for not living my experience. However, I would fault you now that you know and you're in a position to do something about it if you did nothing." So we got to work, and we committed to being a positive influence within our fraternity and in the broader community to promote inclusivity and diversity. And to that end, the General Council formed a Diversity Inclusion Committee headed by our D&I Commissioner, Austin Durai. The committee has been charged with working with the General Council and GHQ staff to examine ways in which Phi Delta Theta can meet the needs of our members and lead the way into an increasingly diverse and interconnected world. Thank you, Austin, for your leadership, your friendship, your expertise, patience, and tireless efforts as an educator and advocate. Over the past couple of years, the General Council has identified the chaplain as the chapter officer responsible for promoting diversity and inclusion and mental well-being within the chapter. We appointed Michael Schulte as our fraternity chaplain to address member needs surrounding issues related to mental health, faith, spiritual guidance, and rectitude. And a little more on that later, but just last summer, the 2023 Kleberg Emerging Leaders Institute will include a special chaplain track for the second time, focused on providing our members with the tools, training, and resources needed to successfully expand the chaplain role and meet the needs of other chapter members. And under Mo's leadership, the fraternity sought to provide resources to assist first-generation college students. To date, $500,000 awarded to undergraduate members who are attending college for the first time in their families. This is the only effort of its kind in the Greek world, and we received an award for it. More broadly, 2021 was the greatest fundraising year for Phi Delta Theta Foundation. 2022 is the first 1 million year of impact, which included an all-time high of 509 scholarships and a 40% increase over the previous 3. On the service front, Phi Deltas from around the United States and Canada continue to find purpose in supporting a cause greater than themselves, to battle ALS and support the ALS warriors and their families. And during the Biennium, as previously noted, 89% of our chapters registered to serve an ALS family. Iron Phi program continues to grow. This year so far, in 2023, $450,000 has been raised, 213 new Iron Phis. The goal, as mentioned, in 2018 to raise $4 million in 1,848 days was raised nearly a year ahead of schedule, $6.2 million. As you may have seen in the news or during games earlier this month, that we celebrated the 3rd Major League Baseball sponsored Lou Gehrig Day to significantly raise awareness and increase advocacy for ALS. And Phi Delta Theta joined with many teams in ballparks like we did last night with the Arizona Diamondbacks to recognize Lou Gehrig Award finalists and recipients to help gift specialized wheelchairs to ALS families in need, bringing momentum for our cause and funding towards research and to support ALS families. And I have to tell you a story about last night. Pictures are up there, I assume. Gabrielle Prieto was a scholarship winner. And in talking with her and her aunt, her mother has recently passed, and she said she received a letter from the Live Like Blue Foundation and received the scholarship, and she was moved to tears. Her aunt was there with her last night at the park, and she had explained that she was going to be a freshman, a rising freshman at Oregon State. And Mo turns to the audience and says, "Where are the Oregon State guys at?" And we identified them. And after we were done, we went up, introduced her, and the guys came up. "Where's the Oregon State guys? Where's Oregon Beta? You guys were in last night." Okay. Well, this is just not working out. I'm not mentioning more chapters, all right? There's a room of literally almost 500 people, and no one's here. But anyway, these 2 guys came up, and they met her, and they said, "When do you move in?" And she said, "June 29th. And the guy pulls out his phone, and he goes, "I'm going to text some brothers. We're going to help move you in. We're your family now." That's what we're doing. Amazing. As a fraternity, we will be measured by the impact we make on the world, and Phi Delta Theta is poised to help end ALS by hopefully one day finding a cure. Thank you to Executive Director Wendy Faust, Steve Good, and the entire Live Like Blue team. So those are just a few highlights. Let's talk about next year. Next Biennium. And yes, these things should be celebrated as we look forward to the next Biennium, but we need to be ever mindful that behind all those stats and achievements and money raised is something far more important: our members and their stories. That's where the General Council, in my vision, will remain focused over the next 2 years, ensuring the best experience for all of our members that will remain at the forefront of all of our decisions. You see, our founders had a vision for our fraternity as outlined in the bond, challenging us to live a life guided by 3 cardinal principles. It's been my experience that chapters centered on those precepts are generally and consistently our best chapters. Through my Phi Delta travels, I've continually been inspired and moved and encouraged by some stories of impact that I've personally witnessed. And as Mose likes to say, whether you find Phi Delta Theta or whether Phi Delta Theta finds you, here's a few of them. First Thursdays. How many of you guys have been to a First Thursday event? Excellent. Steve came to us with an idea inspired by several alumni who came to us and said we need to figure out a way to re-engage after COVID. First Thursday of every month, we'll pick a location in various cities around the country in Canada and see if we can get guys to connect. I attended a couple, but because of competing soccer schedules and other things, I couldn't go to all of them, but I went to one, and this man shuffles up to me and says, "Hi, my name's Rick Shelby." I said, "Hello, Rick." He said, "You just celebrated my 50th anniversary as a Phi. It's amazing. As a proud Golden Legion member. Where'd you go?" "Oklahoma Gamma." "Oh, Southwest Oklahoma. That's cool. Who was your provost president when you were in school?" "T. Glenn Caird." "Oh, that's cool. Wait, you said your 50th anniversary for Golden Legion Phi? When were you founded?" He said, "The same year, I'm number 1. Rick said, "I recently retired and heard about First Thursdays and I want to get involved. What more can I do? I love Phi Delta Theta. I worked hard to get into it and to create it on my campus. I'm living here in DC. I said, "Hey, why don't you come to a President's Leadership Conference as a fellow?" So we connected with Wally Cole, got him set up, and now he's on the chapter advisory board for Virginia Lambda Emerging Chapter at George Mason University. I received you can applaud for that, that's great. I'll tell Rick and Gabe that story of that response. I received an email last month from Stephen Shi, a Chinese national who was enrolled at George Washington University, the DC Alpha chapter at the time, and upon his graduation from his Georgetown master's program, he sent an email to Austin and me. And in it he wrote, "I've learned so many lessons on integrity, values, leadership, and brotherhood from Phi Delta, and I owe many of those lessons to involvement with DC Alpha and at Clayburgh. During a recent visit to the chapter house at Nova Scotia, Alpha, Dalhousie, Halifax, with Rob McGinnis and crew, we chatted with the members there, and I noted uncanny similarities to our own chapter house at Widener University. I immediately felt right at home through a familiarity and strong spirit of fraternity, despite the age difference, distance from home, and being in a completely different country." Then there's the thank you text that I received from one of my former peer mentors, Josh Bologna from the University of Central Florida, after his election as student body president. He suffered a loss in a very close race the year before, and I had encouraged him to try again. Earlier this year, during spring break, I met the chapter president of Virginia Beta, UVA, for coffee while visiting the campus with my wife and daughter Caroline on campus visits. Arriving a little early at the coffee shop, 2 baristas noticed my Phi Delta pullover, and one of them asked if I was an alumnus of the chapter. I told them I wasn't, but that I was a volunteer meeting the president, and unprompted, both of their faces lit up, and the other asked, "Are you meeting with Avi? We love Avi." Phi Delta is the best fraternity on campus by far. We have so many friends there, and we always feel safe, and they're all just great guys. Man, I loved hearing that. Sadly, in February this year, we were all moved and devastated when we learned about the loss of Brian Frazier and 2 other Michigan State students. Brian's life was taken tragically while working in the Student Center on the campus of Michigan State University at the hand of a crazed lone gunman. Brian was the chapter president. Many in the Greek and Michigan State community grieved his loss. The fraternity was quick to offer support during that time, a very trying time. Brother Schulte, the fraternity chaplain, counseled and comforted our men, and Mike Scarlatelli was president of the memorial service. And despite the pain, it was heartening to see so many of our chapters express support with Spartan Strong messages on social media and through donations to a Presidential Memorial Scholarship Fund, which was set up in partnership with his family to honor Brian's memory. Initially, the fund was designed to raise money to help offset the education of future Michigan State Phi Delta chapter presidents. However, the support was so overwhelming that additional scholarships were set up for first-generation students and to support Live Like Lou. And so far, the fund has raised over $160,000, with a significant portion of the donations coming from outside Phi Delta Theta family. And though this was an unthinkable and horrific tragedy, the fraternity showed up for one of our own. And Brian's legacy will live on through the scholarships in his name. We look forward to meeting the Frazier family in person later this summer at Clayburgh to offer our personal condolences and continued support. At an alumni weekend last April with Steiny and Bill Wetlow at Missouri Beta Westminster College in Fulton, Missouri, they celebrated 140 years, and alumni of all ages filled their chapter room to pass the gavel and share updates on their lives. One grandfather in his late 80s told of his struggle with COVID, which he barely survived. But he was grateful that he did so that he could witness the initiation of his grandson, both of which were sitting right next to me. After a couple hours, the last member stood up, an undergraduate who boldly stated that Phi Delta Theta saved his life. As he fought through tears, he shared poignant struggles that he was experiencing while at college, including mental health challenges, depression, and serious contemplation of suicide. His chapter brothers recognized that he was in pain and went with him to get the help he needed. He admitted that things aren't perfect. He still struggles, but he's in a much better place and once again has a more positive outlook on life, due in large part to the fraternity and the professional support that he received. As mentioned before, our fraternity chaplain, Michael Schulte, has proven an invaluable resource in this area. Coincidentally, he's also from Missouri Beta. After graduation, he became an educator before choosing a career in pastoral ministry. He's currently pursuing a master's degree, he's graduated with his master's degree at Vanderbilt Divinity School, and he's definitely the right person for the job. So, this is one area where we will continue to invest in and highlight. Plans are already underway in the next biennium to create a new programming resource guide to compile and share best practices and develop officer training materials to assist our chaplains. Personally, for me, this ties directly to our third cardinal principle of rectitude. Friendship is easy. We all seem to understand that. Sound learning? The reason we all became Phi Deltas while pursuing a college degree also seems pretty straightforward. However, that third cardinal principle, in my mind, is often minimized, or in some cases, overlooked entirely. Maybe it's because it's last. Maybe it's because it's too personal, or some may feel uncomfortable discussing their feelings around faith, morals, spirituality in a group setting. Perhaps a quote found on the Wilford plaque in the Founders Room in Elliott Hall and in many Phi Delta Theta chapter houses sums it up best, and it reads, "In friendship sincere, as a brother devoted, in honor aspiring to the noblest culture, with conduct unblemished, revering God." In my view, Phi Delta Theta is more than just a college fraternity. It's a lifelong commitment to personal growth and development. I believe that all the principles are equally important. And if you don't have to be a person of faith to exemplify the qualities often associated with it, such as honesty, integrity, character, kindness, and compassion. Additionally, one of the unfortunate shortcomings coming out of COVID is that many of our chapters lost their knowledge of and proficiency in the ritual. So we saw a dangerous crossroads emerging where societal behaviors such as hate, division, and selfishness, all antithetical to our values, were being celebrated in some public circles, combined with the fact that our chapters seemed lost and unfamiliar with the foundational ceremony that was intended to tie and bind all Phi Deltas together. I'm pleased to report that after attending Clayburgh this last summer in the McKinsey Family President's Leadership College earlier this year, where we stressed the importance of ritual performance, review, and practical application, I think that we're starting to get back on track. I view the next 2 years specifically as an opportunity to further improve on that progress. And related to that, it's important that we have an open, honest, and transparent conversation with our members about the dangers of alcohol and substance abuse, hazing, and sexual assault. And let me be very clear. Phi Delta Theta has zero tolerance when it comes to these types of risky and unacceptable behaviors. As men of strong moral character, we are called to exemplify the principles upon which we were founded, and that we as Phi Deltas swear to uphold. And for those who attend the luncheon this afternoon with Brother Eubank, I think he exemplified the challenge there perfectly, and I was so glad to hear his remarks and the applause that erupted when he made them. In the same way, it's critical to our future as a growing organization that new members are properly taught in a hazing-free environment about the foundation and purpose of our fraternity in a way that's consistent, regardless of chapter or campus. And in doing so, they may effectively understand the importance of what they are joining and the responsibilities of membership for all Phi Deltas. So again, to the undergraduates in the room, thank you for showing up, not only this week, but every day. Working hard to become the greatest version of yourselves. And as campus ambassadors, you can be champions for your schools and provide an experience that not only retains current students, but attracts new ones. Phi Delta Theta offers a strong value proposition focused on principles, engagement, and leadership. And this is your opportunity to achieve great things in your time as an undergraduate, which is finite. This, right now, is your moment. What will you do with it? What will be your legacy? Help us lead the way into the next biennium with strength, pride, and honor. I hope many of you will attend or have confirmed registered chapter delegates for this summer's Clayburgh Emerging Leaders Institute in late July at Miami and Oxford, Ohio. And with almost 1,000 participants annually, this conference will be one of the most rewarding and educational leadership experiences of your life. I highly encourage you to take advantage of it. Being a Phi is a commitment to leadership, to service, and to making a difference in the lives of others. And as a member of Phi Delta Theta, I challenge you to embrace these commitments wholeheartedly and to strive for excellence in all aspects in your life, whether in college or post-graduation. So remember that question I asked earlier about what the founders might think about the status of Phi Delta Theta 175 years later? Well, I'd like to close tonight with a quote that I found from founder Robert Morrison that might give us an idea. It's from the remarks that he delivered at an event at Miami University in 1899 in celebration of Phi Delta Theta's 50th anniversary. And he writes as this: "The progress of Phi Delta Theta, its history, and its standing in our land today show that we built better than we knew when we founded it. We are glad and thankful to the divine providence that we are spared to see this day and this hour, to receive this welcome from you, and to participate in these 50th anniversary exercises. Let me say that we had a hard time in those early days to keep up the campfires of Phi Delta Theta. The order was young, and it was a struggle to keep it going, but we hoped for better things in the future. We were not disappointed. We did not know then, though, that we should live to see our fraternity the tower of strength, the leader in every walk of life that it is today." As Phi Delts everywhere turn their eyes to Scottsdale, Arizona this week, in this moment, we echo Morrison's words as we celebrate our fraternity's wonderful progress over the past 175 years, its current prosperity, and the bright, promising future that lies ahead. I would like to express my deepest appreciation to Phi Delta Theta for this incredible honor to serve you and the fraternity. And as a general council, we are ready and eager to contribute our talents, our energy, and our dedication to the fraternity and its noble mission. We ask the same of all of you. Together, we will continue to uphold the legacy of Phi Delta Theta, leaving a lasting impact on our campus, our communities, and the world. Thank you. I'm proud to be a Phi.